Yo, what is good with y'all boys? It's me, Swoop here, and welcome back to a brand new video. Now, today's gonna be showing you guys the ultimate rod progression guide inside of Fish. Now, if you don't know how progression works in Fish, basically it's divided into 11 stages. So, stage 1 being the earliest game, and stage 11 being complete end game. So, I'm gonna be explaining to you how you can end up progressing through this stage system in the game. Now, before we get to this video, make sure you guys do leave a like and subscribe, as it would really appreciate it and it does help out the channel a lot. But yeah, let's go ahead and get you guys into this complete Fish progression guide. Let's get it. Alright, guys. Now, starting off our progression guide, basically you're just gonna want to sit here and fish at Moosewood with your flimsy rod, which is going to be the first rod you're going to end up getting in the game. Then you're going to fish here until you end up getting 2,000 credits, so you can end up buying the carbon rod. Now, unlike all of these other rods, this is probably the most well-rounded out rod in the stage 1 category that you can end up getting. This is more than likely going to be the first rod you ever end up buying. So it's only 2,000 credits. That's just literally like 2 minutes of fishing. You sell those fishes and then you buy this rod. And I'm going to just pull it up. It has pretty decent stats: 5 lure speed, 25 lug, control, some decent control, resilience, and max kg. And it's a very good starter rod. And you're going to want to have that rod. It's going to carry you all the way into the stage 2 rod. So that's going to be the first rod we're going to end up getting, and that's going to be stage 1 of the progression guide. Alright guys, now moving on to our stage 2 rod. Basically, once you end up obtaining the carbon rod, what I would recommend doing is going to the shipwright and buying yourself a ship. And once you end up doing that, you're going to want to sail completely east. So just literally go straight from Moosewood, and then you're going to end up hitting the Rodslit Bay Island. Now once you are here, what I recommend you end up doing is using your carbon rod at this giant lake right here, and basically just catching as many fish as you can and raising 7,000 credits, which won't take you that long. Now once you do end up raising 7,000 credits, make sure you sell out on fishes, and then you could end up going over here to this little blacksmith guy, and right next to him is going to be the steady rod for 7,000 credits. And basically, once you do end up buying the steady rod, this is going to be an all-around overall really good rod for the stage 2 progression. As you guys can see, aside from the fact of the lure speed, the luck is pretty good, the control is good, the resilience is good, but the main thing about this rod is how big fishes you can end up catching. So yeah, big fishes sell for more, mutations sell for a lot, and that's going to be very good for the stage 2 portion of the game. It's also another pretty easy rod to end up getting inside of the game, and yeah, that's definitely the rod I would recommend for this part of the stage 2, and you can end up moving on to the next rod. Alright guys, now moving on to our stage 3 rod. Basically, once you end up getting the steady rod from Rodslit, what I would end up recommending doing is going over to Castaway Cliffs and just grinding there until you end up hitting 50,000 credits or $50,000. Now once you do end up doing that, basically what you're going to want to end up doing is heading over to Ancient Isles. Now make sure you are following these markers, as it is pretty easy to find all of the islands. But yeah, basically what you're going to want to end up doing is heading over to Ancient Isles for our third rod, and this is a really good rod. This is one of the best rods you could end up having for this point in the game. So yeah, basically just grind up around like 50,000 credits or something. You're going to want to go over to Ancient Isles. Now you have to be careful when approaching this island, because as you guys can see, your boat can end up breaking and stuff like that. So yeah, we're just going to go ahead and speed up me actually going to this island. Alright guys, now once we do end up making it on Ancient Isles, basically what you're going to want to end up doing is just following these zip lines, and it's going to eventually lead you to the back half of the island. So as you guys can see, I'm following these zip lines. There's one up here, and this is going to end up leading me to the top. And if you don't know where you're going, just literally hop on the green bubbles, and then it's going to end up zipping you all the way to the top area of the island. Now once you are at the very tippy top, what you're going to want to end up doing is just jumping back. So just go ahead and jump back, and pretty much what you're going to want to do is just look up. Now you're probably not going to end up having this glider that I have, but just jump down. You don't take no fall damage in this game, and then eventually you're going to end up seeing these fences right here, as you guys can see. Now inside of this little cave right here is going to be a fragment. It's going to be the solar eclipse totems, and it's going to be the phoenix rod, and that's going to be the next rod we're going to end up getting. And pretty much it has really good stats: 80% luck, 55% lure speed. The kg is kind of low, but it does have a 40% chance to give you a really good mutation that gives you like 4 times sell value, I think. So yeah, that's going to be very good, and mutations are really important in this game. Make sure you get this. This is going to be your stage 3 rod, and now we can end up moving on to the stage 4 portion of the game. Alright guys, now we are on stage 4. Now basically with your stage 3 phoenix rod, I recommend just heading back to Castaway Cliffs, or you can end up going over to the carrot garden, which is inside Mush Grove, and pretty much you're just going to want to farm money. Now you're going to want to farm it till you end up getting around 100,000 credits, and once you do end up getting 100,000 credits, what you're going to want to do is head to the Statue of Sovereignty. Now what we're going to end up doing is going for one of the best rods inside of the entire game, or not in the entire game, but it's one of the best rods at this point in the game. So just go ahead, head down here, and then you're going to end up seeing this dude right here, and pretty much he's going to say it's not safe for you, and actually use the elevator, and then he's going to be like how much it's going to cost you, and then yeah, 400 credits to say deal, and then end up going down to the through the elevator. Now once you are inside of here, basically it's going to be the enchant altar, but what you're going to want to end up doing is just hooking yourself a left. Alright, so yeah, as you guys can see, just drop down here. It's going to end up be in a black screen for a little bit. I don't know why this takes so long, but once you are down here at the keeper's altar, what you're going to want to end up doing is just making yourself a left, and you're going to end up finding the next rod, which is going to be the king's rod. Now this is one of the best rods you can end up getting at this portion of the game. So as you guys can see, 25 lure speed, 85% luck, 0.15 control, 35% resilience, and the best part about it is going to be the infinite kg and the fact that it makes 30% fish 30% bigger. So yeah, this automatically just going to be really good. And then like if you end up getting specific enchants on it or something, this is going to be the best route you can end up getting for this portion of the game, and this is going to realistically carry you to all the later stages in the game. It's one of the only routes you're going to need for this portion of the game. But yeah, now that you have this route, we can end up moving on to stage 5, or the next stage, or the next route pretty much. So let's go ahead and get right into that. All right guys, now once you do end up getting the king's route, you're just going to want to farm at Castaway again, or farm at the Carrot Garden inside of Mushgrove. But pretty much you're going to want to farm there until you end up getting $500,000, and then that's when we can end up getting our stage 5 rod. Now for our stage 5 rod, what we need to end up doing is making sure it's nighttime with a foggy weather, and it's either autumn or winter. Now that's going to end up spawning in this secret island called the Cursed Island. Pretty much you're going to want to end up heading over here to the Cursed Island. Now the next rod is going to end up costing 500,000 like I said, but this is a really good mid-game rod right here. So you're going to want to end up going over to this broken house right here, and then in the right corner you're going to end up seeing the Great Dreamer rod, which is originally a C2 rod, but it ended up getting moved to C1 after C2 got exploded. So here are the stats right here: 147 luck, 75% lure speed, 17 control, 17 resilience, infinite kg, and it does have the chance to put the Cursed Torch mutation on Fish, which is a 5x multiplier. So this is a really good mid-game rod. This will carry you all the way to stage 6, and maybe even past that as well. It's a really solid rod. I definitely recommend you end up using this rod, end up getting this rod. I mean, there's a lot of other rods, but there's not one as great as the Great Dreamer rod at this mid-game point in the game. So make sure you save up enough, get that rod, and then we can end up moving on to the stage 6 rod. Alright guys, now moving on to the stage 6 rod, basically you're going to end up heading inside the Luminescent Cavern, which is a brand new area. And if you don't know how to get here, pretty much you're going to end up going down through the Desolate Deep, making a right, and then inserting some keystones. And once you do end up doing that, it's going to end up unlocking this brand new area. But pretty much once you are here, what you're going to want to end up doing is you're going to want to catch this blue sea dragon, which you'll end up seeing. It's going to be right over here, and you're going to want to end up catching it. It's a pretty easy catch, albeit it could take you a little bit. So just spam sundial totems until it ends up spawning in your game. But basically, once you do end up catching this fish, you're going to want to end up hitting the appraiser. So go over to the appraised thing, and then you're just going to end up appraising that fish until you end up getting the crimson mutation on it. Once you do end up getting the crimson mutation on it, simply talk over to this crimson guard, and then he's going to end up unlocking a gate that's going to end up being right here, and you can end up going inside of it. So pretty much once you're inside of this red area, it's going to end up take you over to the crimson biome, which if you've ever played Terraria, this is kind of what this biome is like, But yeah, as you guys can see, we're inside of the Crimson Cavern, and basically once we are here, what we're going to end up wanting to do is end up heading over to the back. You'll end up finding this rod up here, so up in the trees. So what we're going to want to do is just simply go past all of this extra stuff, and I would recommend getting a glider to end up reaching this rod, because it's a pretty difficult rod to get to if you don't have a glider. But once you do end up having a glider, go over here, climb up that little thing, and then you'll see the rod right here and hidden inside of this tree. So as you guys can see, we're gonna dropping down, and then it's gonna be right there. I just completely missed the ride, but it's gonna be 200,000. I already have it, so I'm not gonna go back up there. But yeah, as you guys can see, 50 lure speed, 170 luck, minus 0.2 control, 150 resilience, and infinite kg. But the main thing that makes this rod so good is the crimson mutation. It ends up buffing the multiplier by I think like 6.5 times. So that's a really good mutation to end up, or a good rod to end up having for its mutation. Yeah, that's gonna be your stage 6 rod, and now we can end up moving on to the stage 7 rod. All right, guys, now moving on to the stage 7 rod. Basically from here, from the Scarlet rod, you're just literally going to want to end up going back to the Luminescent Cavern. So what we're going to end up doing is swimming through this cavern right back over here. And then the next rod is going to be a fairly new one. It's a little more difficult to get than the other one, but it's going to end up being the Luminescent Oath. Okay, so we're just going to end up jumping up here if I can make this jump. All right, and you're going to end up seeing this sword right here. Now basically you have to complete 100% of the bestiary here, and then you'll end up being able to buy the sword for 1.5 million. But as you guys can see, I'm going to go ahead and pull it up right here. It's going to have 85% lure speed, 100% luck, 0.18 control, 10% resilience, and 25,000 kg as the max kg. You might be wondering why you would end up getting this rod. It's simply due to the fact of the master mutation. It's literally one of the best mutations inside of the entire game, and it does have a bunch of really good passives on it as well. As you guys can see, the progress speed is going to end up closing. It has slashes. This is a really solid rod you want to end up having. As you guys can see, I'm going to get the master mutation on it. That's a 16 times multiplier, so this is going to absolutely be one of the best rods at this phase of the game. The only downside being you could only catch 25,000 kg fish, pre-nerf, this was probably one of the best rods in the game, but now it's only a stage 7 rod, but it's still a very solid rod I would recommend going for, and that's going to be the stage 7 rod. We can move on to stage 8. Alright guys, now moving on to the next rod, we're going to end up having the evil pitchfork rod. As you guys can see, pretty much in order to get this rod, what you're going to want to have to do is you're going to have to complete the Crimson King's quest line. And in order to complete his quest line, you're going to have to go around to these mushroom looking guys inside of the Luminescent Cavern in red area, and you're going to want to do the quest line. So some of them involve collecting crystals, fishing up certain fish, some of them involve collecting these plants around the Crimson area. But once you end up completing all 4, you're just going to want to go ahead and do the last fragment, which is just pulling the levers and grabbing with the last fragment. Then you're going to end up having all 5 fragments. Now, once you do end up having all 5 fragments, what you're going to want to end up doing is talking to this Crimson King right here again. Then he's going to end up giving you this evil sigil. Now, from here, what we're going to end up doing is crafting the rod. So we're going to end up heading over to Ancient Isle. And yeah, guys, once you are at the crafting area inside of Ancient Isles, you can end up crafting this with your evil sigil. And this is a very, very, very good rod. It's going to end up being able to basically multiply the value of your every single fish you end up catching, making them a lot bigger. And yeah, this is going to be your stage 8 rod. It's a little bit difficult, but I ain't gonna lie, once y'all end up getting it, I mean, it's a really good ride, and this is kind of gravitating towards the end game-ish side of the game. So yeah, make sure you guys do end up getting all those fragments and going ahead and getting the sigil. And if you guys do need a more in-depth tutorial, I do have one on my channel if you guys want to check that out. But yeah, as you guys can see, this is the evil pitchfork, which is a stage 8 rod, and we can end up moving on to stage 9. All right guys, now moving on to the stage 9 rod, we're gonna have the ethereal prism rod. And in order to get this, basically what you're gonna want to end up doing is heading all the way down until the abyssal zenith. Now, if you don't know how to get here, pretty much I'm going to pull it up on my traveler's whistle. What you have to end up doing is traveling down to the volcanic vents, which is under Roslet with the submarine. Once you do end up doing that, you're going to want to complete that whole bestiary. Then you're going to want to head down to the Challenger's Deep. Then you're going to want to complete that whole bestiary. And once you do end up completing that whole bestiary, you can head down to the Abyssal Zenith. Then you're going to have to complete that whole bestiary. And you're going to have to catch the secrets in all of these areas. And once you do end up collecting the whole bestiary with the secrets, you're going to end up heading down to the calm zone. And once you are at the calm zone, you're going to want to go past that parkour course, and then through this little area, and then it's going to end up leading you here. Now, once you are here, you have to end up completing the whole entire vertical, or Veil of the Forsaken, sorry, the Veil of Forsaken thing. What you have to do is complete the skill of boss fight, do that little puzzle right there, complete that whole bestiary, come back here, and then you're going to end up being able to buy this rod for 15 million. Now this rod is going to have the prismarine effect, so basically let me pull this up, every 50% of every reel you're going to end up having is going to basically be an 8 times multiplier. So yeah, what you're going to want to do is literally just fish here, and then every single time it's going to be a 8 times multiplier, and this is going to be a very good area to end up fishing at, or any other area for that matter of fact. But yeah, this is going to end up being the ethereal prism rod. It's going to be your stage 9 rod, and then we can end up moving on to the next rod, which is going to be stage 10. All right guys, now moving on to stage 10, what we're going to end up having to do is heading back to the crimson biome. And once we are here, we're going to end up basically going over to the sword. Now in order to get this sword, you have to end up spending 30 million, but you aren't going to be able to buy it yet. You have to complete this whole entire shiny and sparkling bestiary, which can be a little bit difficult and a little bit tedious. But once you do end up completing the whole entire shiny sparkling bestiary, you can end up buying the sword for 30 million. And as you guys can see, this is an absolutely insane sword. 95% layer speed, it's going to have 500% luck, 0.08 control. It's going to have a whole bunch of good stuff pretty much. All right, this is going to be one of those really good rods, and I'm going to go ahead and throw on some bait so the fish can end up being instant. But yeah, a lot of you guys might be surprised that this isn't you know what I'm saying, like the stage 11, which is the highest stage, and I was a little bit surprised too. But according to the wiki, this is a stage 10 rod. I'm gonna low-key have to agree. Even though the rod is pretty good, it's not the I don't think it's the best rod in the game as people proclaim it to be. Like, there are better rods, there are a couple better rods I could end up naming, but if you do end up perfectly catching them, you're gonna get the mastered enchant, as you guys can see, like the luminescent oath. Also, this rod, it has infinite kg, so you could end up basically infinitely catching these fishes, and the progress speed thing, and then the slashes and stuff. It's a really good rod, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. But it's your stage 10 rod. As you guys see, you guys might be a little surprised, but yeah, it's gonna be stage 10, and we can finally move on to the last stage, which is very end game. All right guys, and moving on to stage 11 with our last rod, we're gonna end up heading over to Roll Red, and you're gonna have to end up completing his quest or buying this rod for 1 billion credits. Complete his quest is a lot easier, even though the quests are ridiculously difficult. It took me literally like 3 days to end up getting this rod, but it's gonna be the try hard rod. You might be like, oh, what about the Polaris Serenade? What about that rod you just had? You can't get that rod no more, even though that is the best rod in the game. The Polaris Serenade is definitely the best rod in the game. It still is. but you can't get that rod no more, unfortunately. You can only get that from the admin event. But yeah, basically the best rod in the game right now is going to be the tryhard rod. Now, even though honestly this really isn't the best rod, I'm not gonna lie, I do think the luminescent oath is better because it's a lot easier to use than this rod. But yeah, technically this is the only stage 11 rod inside of the game, and I mean it does have some of the best stats. On paper it has the best stats in the game. 999 luck, 80% lure speed, which is kind of high. Then you have minus 0.37 control and minus 500 resilience. So if you're gonna use this fish, you definitely need to make sure you have some decent bait. I don't even have that much good bait. I'm not gonna lie, like I don't really have that many decent baits. I guess I could use a Kraken tentacle just to show y'all. Now on paper, this is technically the best rod in the game. It's even better than the Polaris Serenade on paper, but in all reality, it realistically isn't the best rod. I mean, it's such a difficult rod to end up using. As you guys can see, literally look at this progress bar. It is so difficult to end up using this rod. I'm not gonna lie, minus 500% resilience is not like anything that takes like lightly. That is a very difficult thing, and that's just gonna make this rod like basically impossible to use. If you don't have the Herculean enchant, you're not gonna be able to catch fish with this rod. I don't use this rod at all, I'm not gonna lie. I used the Polaris Serenade, but unfortunately, if you are playing the game now, you can't end up using this rod because it's unobtainable. So honestly, your best bet for the best rod is going to probably end up just being the Ruinous Oath if you are a newer player. Like, I wouldn't even go for the tryhard rod, to be honest. I definitely would wait for a better rod to end up coming out. But yeah, this is going to end up being the best obtainable rod at the moment. If not, you could end up using the tryhard rod. And if you do have the Polaris Serenade, then lucky you. But yeah, that's going to end up ending off this video right here. I hope you guys did end up enjoying the video. Make sure you guys do smash that like button and hit that subscribe button, as I would really appreciate it, and it does help with the channel a lot. But yeah, it's your boy Soulful here, and I'm out. Bye.